You're like,
Great. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Basics of Business, what every entrepreneur must know. Whether you've always dreamed of running a startup or you just want to ace the next college fest, you'll find today's session practical, eye opening, and a little bit of fun. Think of finance as organizing the coolest event on campus. Finance is your budget, making sure you have enough money for snacks, banners, and maybe even a DJ. Marketing is how you get people buzzing, posting, and actually turning up memes, stories, posters, you name it. Operations is everything behind the scenes that makes the event work smoothly. Teamwork, logistics, making sure everybody gets a snack and the power doesn't go out. These basics aren't just for major CEOs, they are the building blocks for any ambitious student who wants to bring ideas to life. Be it a new app, a student club, or launching a side hustle from your hostel room. You don't need a business degree to get started, you just need a willingness to learn, experiment, and have some fun. Get ready to roll up your sleeves and discover how the essentials of finance, marketing, and operations are already a part of your life and your future success story. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Manish Choudhary, founder and CEO of MLIT 18 Technology Private Limited, better known by its brand Insights. Manish holds a BTech in computer science and an MBA, and he is the driving force behind one of India's most exciting deep tech companies. Starting in 2018 with just three people, he has built Insights into a 150 plus member R&D powered team that creates AI-driven computer vision and robotic solution to solve some of the country's toughest industrial challenges. Today, Insights is trusted by industry leaders like Ultratech Cement, Hindalco, Tata Steel, and Mahindra, and while remaining entirely bootstrapped and profitable. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Manish Choudhary to our session. Hi Manish, it's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you, Saranya, for such a nice introduction. Thank you so much for having me here. Exciting to interact with the young crowd.
Great, the floor is all yours. You can take it forward from here.
Okay. Thank you, Saranya. And good afternoon, all of you. I know it's an afternoon session, so there could be a bit of laziness for all of us, but I will try to keep it as practical as possible and try to be useful for our young participant. So what I will do is I will start with small introduction about our organization. Then I will get into the basics of business, which I will talk more from a building a profitable business in Indian context. And then we go about financials, go to market strategy, customer targeting, and building products over a period of time, how building AI/ML is a different from other kind of products that we build. And finally, I also have a small video where I will try to show the participant the product that we have made, one of the product that we have made, and what it takes to build such kind of product, which are extremely difficult to replicate, and there is a real problem that the product solve, and what kind of feedback you can get or traction you can get when you build that kind of uh, product which is unique in nature and solves a real world problem. So just to start with a brief introduction, as Saranya already introduced, we started in 2018. I started this venture with my three friends, college friends. So I think most of the students are from college. So all of you can always plan. Uh, so friends in the college are the best to start a business together, because the friendship that you make now is unfiltered. You could be comfortable with each other in the baddest of times, in the best of the times. So you are currently in the best set of ecosystem where you can think of an idea and build a business. So I started with my three college friends. We started in 2018. Now we are a 150 plus member team, expanding to Pune, Mumbai, Bangalore, Sambalpur. Last year we started our business globally in Abu Dhabi, and we are going global with our commercial deployments. So when we start, when we say what is the most basic of the business or entrepreneurship? I think one of the thing we all have to be very clear that can we not be a part of a hype and build something very fundamental and build something which solves a real world problem. Now, why do I say that? Because with the kind of media attention that the founders get, the kind of funding news that everyone is getting, it looks very encouraging. It looks also very glamorous to start a business. And but uh, at the back end of it, it's a real execution drives a business success. And at the back end of it, let me tell you, extremely important point is that entrepreneurship is not a sprint of 100 meter. It's a marathon, and it's a marathon which doesn't is not ran on a flat track. It's a marathon where you will have to cross mountains, you will have to cross seas, you will have to cross many problems that would be artificially created, manually created by your own self. So many a time, founders and the teams create a problem for themselves. So we have to be very clear that when we are getting into starting a business, we are completely committed to it. When we say completely committed to it, you have to keep in mind the patience, persistence, perseverance. And it's a very painful journey. There are so let's talk that we have 100 days, and out of 100 days, I think as an entrepreneur, you will get hardly 1 or 2 days where you will be celebrating your success. But 97 to 98 days, you would always be working on iterations, working on your day-to-day failure, learning from that failure, and building something where you drive satisfaction and creates real value for your customer. So it's a journey of pain. It's a journey of embarrassment sometime. It's a journey of personal sacrifice. It has to be very clear that when you build something from scratch, and particularly in Indian context or a global context, your personal life does take a hit. So you have to be very clear that when you are getting into building a serious business, you will have to do trade-offs because it's like a baby for you. You will have to devote your entire time, focus, energy for developing that, nurturing that, and taking to a level where it is self-sustainable. And it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of capital. It takes a lot of deep dive into technology, business acumens, learning over a period of time, lot of failures and ability to again stand back and face the world again with a fresh set of mind. So let's be very clear when we starting a business as a young crowd as all of you are, we have to be very clear that we are not jumping into it because there is a hype around us, but we are very serious on what we are building, and you are solving a real world problem. You are solving a real world problem for which customer are ready to pay. Customer may not be ready to pay in short term, but if you show it in actual sense, the area where customer is benefited, customer will pay over a period of time. But it takes time for customer adoption. So adoption is the key. Ideas are many. Every now and then, our mind is such a thing where we can get great ideas, but what fundamentally lies to building a business is ability to execute. And ability to execute is extremely challenging thing. We need lot of detailing on everything that you work on every money that you spend, every product that you build. So that needs to be kept in mind. And other than that, let me also be very optimistic that Indian ecosystem for next 20-25 years is the place where we have to be if we want to build a business. This is the time of India to shine globally, and there is no best time what we are seeing now or for next 20-25 years where we can build great businesses in India, great product, great product companies can be built in India. Absolutely right ecosystem in terms of um, manpower, in terms of opportunity, in terms of mindset, and in terms of funds also and government support. It's the right time where if we want to start a business, this generation has it everything right in its place, and we just have to keep our head down, be humble, be patient, have patience, and then build business for long term. So let's that would be one of the key business basics of business that we need to keep in mind when we start. Saranya, I think you are on mute.
Oh, yes, I was.
That's okay.
Thank you. I was saying, so thank you so much for introducing that to us. And I'm guessing finance is a very, very important part of starting a business and sustaining a business. How do you explain the basics of budgeting to someone running a very small campus event or maybe like a club or something that, is more relatable to our audience today?
Yeah, let me give an attempt to that. And after I answer your question, I will also talk on the financial aspect of running a business in real scenario. So I see there is a huge there is a good example as in how students at campuses can think of financial discipline. I think there are a lot of tech fest happening, cultural events happening, a lot of guests coming to campuses for different kinds of event. You just treat, let's take an example that you have a cultural event X for there are a couple of cultural events in a year, a cultural event X and a cultural event Y. And let's take an example that you have a small fund for organizing that event or initial fund given by college or maybe sponsored by some alum, anything it could be. Consider that as a seed fund. So now the cultural committee has a could be a 4 to 5 member team or 2 to 3 member team. So let's consider them as founders. Now you have to understand how do you spend this seed fund. How do you budget this seed fund? Now you have funds in your hand and you have a larger event which you want to organize and make it a grand success. Though it is a short-term example, but let's consider break down it into different financial aspect. Now you have to be very detailed in budgeting. When I say very detailed in budgeting, you have to have every line item of expense accounted and recorded somewhere. And you should be very serious that what could be the contingency in every line item. Because this is the practice a business head or a founder should have, that when you are budgeting an item, you should be so detailed that your contingency cannot be more than 5 to 10%. If you are having contingency which runs into which runs up to 25, 30 or 50 percentage, then it means you didn't got into detailing of your expense and you are not valuing your available resources. You have to be very frugal when you are starting a business or you have to or a campaign. So you have to very frugal. Now the second points come, are you able to market your event? How do you market your event? You need to have a GTM strategy, that where do we go, where to raise funds. Now the easiest way to raise funds are your alum network. So after the seed fund, you can, if you see your budget is you want to make something very big and you need a large capital, you have to go to you have to go to your alum network. You have to go to corporates, through your connections, maybe in through office connections, through your parents connection, relatives connection. So as in business also, the first set of people who will fund you are your friends and families. The first round, which is not actually a official round, but your first round of funding always comes from your friends and family. So you have to leverage that network to bring some fund for your cultural committee. Now that, and you have to prepare your GTM strategy. What kind of event you are doing, whom to target, or which target market would suit your cultural event. So all these planning for GTM, marketing, positioning, segmentation comes into picture. So you have to be very diligent in that. And the third most important thing comes is calculating your ROIs on your expense. Suppose you build a poster worth of 20K. You decide that you want to spend 20K INR for building some posters. But what is the return you have expected? Are you building it just for the sake of branding? No, because it's a short-term campaign. You need to use it as a crowd puller, as an investment puller. You need to create some funds through that. So you have to calculate the ROIs in the marketing expense that you are doing. It cannot be just for the sake of branding. So it gives you a very good example. How do you get into calculating ROI at that level when building, making posters, doing some other campaigns, meeting people's traveling expense to go and meet corporates. So all these are, you have to calculate what kind of ROI would you, what kind of probability you have to have success in each kind of campaign that you are doing or a go-to-market strategy that you have. That's one aspect. Then you have to look for also penalize. So business, you have to understand in real world business, there are also penalties. Customer penalize you if you are not up, you don't provide a good service or you don't provide a good product. How do you build that? How do you build that in your campus festival or your cultural event? How do you build that? The best way to build that is that when you have planned an event, any event, it will be a sequence of um, things that you would have planned. Maybe a event would happen at some time, the other event would happen after 30 minutes. You have to be very strict and disciplined that if the teams are not meeting the time deadlines, you have to penalize them. You have to penalize your own team. You also have to penalize people. Suppose you call a food stall at your you have called a food stall at your campus, or you are putting up a stall, or your colleague is putting up a stall, or your friend. If they don't show up on time, you have to penalize them. That's the best way to learn that nothing comes for free. If you have been given an opportunity at the campus to put up a stall or put up a food, or you have given a time to perform at a cultural event, it has to be bang on time. And that's where you build fundamental discipline of being on time. Otherwise, you penalize people. If you if you don't build these habits at initial stages, then it's very difficult when you enter into real world, because real world is very tough. When we were in colleges, uh, we also were doing things, and we understood when I migrated from college to real world, it is very tough. The real world is very tough compared to the college life. So why don't we build ourselves and prepare ourselves to handle leadership roles, entrepreneurship role in real world. So these things have to be kept in mind while you are, and that can be learned at small events or maybe small things at in college life. These are very important. So we have to keep all these things in mind. Now coming to the financial, see when running a business, you would completely hear a lot about in news, top line, bottom line, what is the top line of a company, what is the bottom line of a company, all these things would be there. Keep that in mind. These are very important KPIs. Have a, we have to have the numbers. We have to keep a track of what is our top line, which is revenue, what is our bottom line, which are gross profit or net profit. But be very cautious about the third KPI, which people do miss sometimes. That is the cash flow. I think while building my business in initial days, I was also carried away by keeping a track of top line. But the biggest winner for a long-term sustainable business is keeping a track of cash flow, because a positive cash flow gives you independence to try new things, to scale up fast. Otherwise, a lot of time, if your top line is good, but you are not realizing cash, the payments are not coming on time, the payments are delayed because of many reasons. Customer is delaying, your delivery has not been completed. It could be many reasons, logistics, warehousing. It could be any reason, product failure. It could be multiple reasons, but you always have to keep a track of cash flow. If you don't keep a track of cash flow and you are not cash flow positive, the founder's 80 to 90% energy would always be, it's always be spent on managing the cash flow. How do I get the cash flow for next month? How do I get the cash flow for next quarter? So cash is the king. As many leaders who have built businesses, like if you see Mr. Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, they have always told these things, that cash is the ultimate king. So always keep in mind that whenever you are spending, building businesses, the fundamental financial discipline is that you keep a track of cash. It's extremely important, extremely important. So that's one of the things that as a financial discipline we have to keep in mind. Also, a lot of government guidelines and statutory compliances are there when you build businesses. Keep in mind that from the day one, you don't take any of these guidelines related to taxation, GST, TDS, filings, anything lightly. You have to devote equal amount of time in building product in your GTM strategy. And equally important is adhering to financial regulation, the taxation laws of the government. Absolutely no compromise in this if you have to build a long-term sustainable business, because it becomes extremely difficult if you don't create a culture of having a financial discipline at a scale. It becomes absolutely difficult to just go means you can't redo whatever mess has been created if you are not keeping a track of what is happening financially in your companies, and it becomes very difficult. And be aware, not adhering to this also leads to a lot of penalties by the government or other authorities, which will kill your cash. So these are some of the fundamentals of financial that we should keep in mind and move ahead accordingly. Saranya, again, your mic needs to be.
What does building a moat mean for student entrepreneurs, and why should they care about it from day one? And just a little bit more on how this plays an important role in not just setting up a business but also being sustainable. Maybe we can, if we can get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's an extremely important point which Saranya you have brought up. Building a moat. Now we have to think when we build businesses, you need to have a constant, differentiable, and a sustainable USP. Otherwise, the business is not sustainable, or the business, the pricing that you want, you would not get from the market. So we don't want to be running every quarter on quarter for sales, because it creates a lot of stress in the system. So you have to create a moat. Now, what is moat? Is nothing but a sustainable USP or a differentiation from the market. How do you build this is one of the biggest problem every businesses faces. Now, as per me personally, if you think, uh, you see in Indian context, now we are building lot of businesses are coming up, but most of the businesses are service companies. And that's one of the problem of Indian ecosystem, that all our businesses are becoming service businesses in technology, mostly in technology. So we have to focus something for long term. And as a young crowd, you all should target building products, great deep tech products, AI, ML, robotics, all these kind of products. But you have to think, we have to build product, because service in long run does have differentiation. There are ways to create differentiation in service business also, but it's limited. But when you build a product, then a long-term sustainable moat is created. And what is actual, how do you define a moat? I think personally, I feel moat is something which is time driven. If someone wants to copy your product and they can only copy it after a particular span of time, let's suppose 2 years, 3 years, I define it as moat. Your product can have great features, you can have great funding, one can have great customers at present. But if your product can be copied, or if what you are delivering can be copied in 6 months or 1 year time, I think it doesn't give you a moat. It gives you a good cycle of business, but it is not the moat. So personally, I feel moat is something where anyone who wants to enter in the category that you are offering, they have to spend a good amount of time. Your time is the differentiation. If you have built a business in 5 6 years or a product in 5 6 years, the one who wants to copy has to spend 3 to 4 years to build that product. And by the time he reaches your level, you have upgraded your product, you have upgraded your offering. So fundamentally, I think time is the biggest differentiator when talking about a moat. And when you build time as a differentiation, then the best thing happens is funding cannot subsidize your moat. Otherwise, people would use fund. So if you see large operational businesses, funding can be used to catch up a large scaled up operation business. But even if you have large funds, but if it needs a time to develop, then funding or a capex, a person who is having lot more capex than you cannot copy your business instantly. Now that's what we define as a moat. So keep that in mind. Now, some of the ways to achieve moat could be, are we into a deep, suppose let's say for the discussion's sake, let's talk that we are a AI ML company. We build large scale computer vision models or robotic system. Now, to have a differentiation of 2 years, 3 years before someone can copy it, data could be the moat. Now you have data on which the model is trained. Now that kind of data for anyone to collect, it will take time. And that kind of data for someone to prepare or annotate it will take large amount of manpower for annotation. So let's just take example of OpenAI. Though OpenAI Chat GPT, we all came to know 2.5 years back, but they were working on that for 10 to 12 years. Huge amount of data they made for a model, they prepared for model. Now that's their moat. If anyone has to build that kind of LLM, Gen AI, they need to have that kind of data because the model would only learn if it is trained on that kind of huge quantum and variable kind of data. It's not only the quantum, it's also the variety. When you say big data, it is variety, velocity, and volume. It has all volume, veracity, and variety. Now they, over a period of 10 12 years, they prepared the data for their models. Now if anyone has to have that kind of LLM, they have to go through that kind of work again. They have to look at prepare data, collect data, annotate data, and then only they can make Gen AI as good as ChatGPT has made. So that's some of the real world examples where you can see. I will also share one product that we have made. I will share the video and I will explain you how we created a moat uh, in that. Let me know if my screen is visible.
Yes.
Just give me a moment. Okay. Is voice also audible?
Yes.
I will just start again. Okay.
I don't think the audio of the I mean, we can't hear the music or the background in the video.
You can't hear the background audio?
Yeah,
Let me share again.
I think you'll have to share a complete screen.
Okay. Let me share again.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Complete screen. Is it audible now?
At one
Sanjay?
of the largest cement plants
Yes.
in India, managing the
Yeah.
at one of the largest cement plants in India, Managing the quality of railway wagons was causing delays and inefficiencies. For loading, suitability wagons are inspected manually, and broken wagons are taken for maintenance. Delay in inspection and maintenance due to broken wagon results in demurrage costs to be paid by plant to Indian Railway. Damaged wagons led to delays in maintenance, impacting plant throughput and complicating logistics with Indian Railways. To address this, the company partnered with Insights to implement a real-time wagon inspection system that would automatically identify defects as wagons entered the plant. Our solution utilizes 6 trackside cameras and a server-based processing unit capable of detecting defects such as missing or broken doors, panels, and even deformed parts. The system inspects wagons as they enter the plant, categorizing them into damaged or non-damaged in real time, all within 20 minutes. Data from the inspection system is shared over email to logistic team for their maintenance planning, and further proof of damaged wagon received to Indian Railway. By automating defect detection, the system minimizes manual inspection, enabling faster maintenance and improving the efficiency of the loading process. The early visibility of defective wagons helped maintenance teams prioritize repairs, reducing idle time, and ensuring only functional wagons were loaded. This resulted in a reduction in inspection time by 60 minutes. The defect reports led to the company securing demurrage waivers quarterly. With regular defect reporting, Indian Railways began providing higher quality wagons, creating a smoother logistics flow and fewer disruptions in loading. The successful implementation of the wagon inspection system positioned the company as a leader in automation, setting new industry standards for efficiency. Insights, transforming logistics with real-time inspection.
Okay, so I think I've just stopped the sharing. Now see this product, it tries to reduce the inefficiency in loading at large mining companies and cement factories. So bulk of the movement in these factories happens through wagons. Now wagons can only be loaded if they are in a loading condition. So a lot of time these plants were spending in inspecting the quality of wagons. We and this these wagons come in different kind of geography, starting from west, east, south, and north. So it's an open environment inspection that's happening. Lot of permutation combination of that the model has to learn, the computer vision model has to learn. So when we trained this model in around 3 terabyte of data, so we collected that 3 terabyte of data around 2.5 years of time, and we created an annotation of around 3.5 CR images, which also happened over 2.5 years of time. Now, when we developed and deployed this model, now customers are getting the penalty that railways were imposing them because they were taking more time for loading. But now they have a proof that they are taking more time for loading because railways are sending them damaged wagons. So through technology and a transparent digital way of record keeping, they proved to the railway that you are supplying us a bad quality wagon, hence we are taking a lot of time. So they are getting demurrage waiver. Demurrage waiver is penalty waiver for your better understanding. Now, this product is first of its kind in India and also globally. And and now we don't have to sell this product. That's what I was trying to say when you build a moat. We have built a moat by building a product where we don't have to sell. Everything is coming inbound. It's through reference we are selling it because it's a real hard problem that we have solved. We have made the system very accurate. We have made the uptime to be more than 98, 99%, and customers are getting the benefit per quarter. So they are ready to adopt. And since the option is less in terms of who would be supplying these kind of product, we are the preferred one and we are learning it. We are getting the orders aggressively and exponentially at our terms. Of course, we are ethical in our terms, what we are keeping for sales, but we are getting our orders on favorable terms. So it's very important to build something where time is a differentiation. Now, why I was telling that, so someone wants to create this model of inspection system, they have to have the data. I have 14 installation across India. Every day I am getting around 200 GB of data. So these 200 GB of data every day I am getting, which I am again training the new model. So if someone has to copy, they have to have this kind of data and build the infrastructure. So time is the differentiation which I was trying to say you. And also when you are able to build a moat, the two things that happen is the pricing. So when we talk about business, product, price and promotion is very important. So pricing, you get a premium pricing because you have a product which is differentiable, which solves the real world problem. You can charge premium. So when you are building a tech business, you cannot sell it on discount, because tech business is not, if you even sell a tech product on discount, it's not by taking investors' money, it is not going to increase the adoption exponentially, because uh, when a individual buy a product, he individually takes a decision. But when a business is buying a product, it has a chain of people taking a decision. So you build a moat and you build a differentiation where without discounting, you are selling a product at a premium. And the second most important thing is, when you build moat, you can choose your customers. And this is again very important for all of you. Don't go after entire market. You cannot serve every customer. Every customer is different. Every customer comes from a different background, different psychology. They have different needs. They value your product differently. So you only focus on customer who are profitable to you in long run, with whom doing business makes sense to you, to your business. Start saying no to customers who doesn't add value to your business. It's very important that as young entrepreneurs, or as students who want to be entrepreneurs, the art of saying no is very important. You cannot run after the entire market, but you can have the confidence to say no when you have moat in your product. Otherwise, you will always be anxious. Where is the next sales happening? Where is the next dollar coming? Where is the next customer coming? So these are some of the fundamentals, that why should you build moat, what is moat, and what moat actually help us. And also you have to keep in mind that when you are building product, you don't focus on perfect. You don't want to build a perfect product at the start. It has to be iterative. Something that you are building for long term needs to be iterative in nature. You build, you get the customer feedback, you again iterate. You build again, get the customer feedback and iterate. The only thing that you can do is fail fast, learn fast. It's absolutely critical for building something in the field like AI/ML. If you don't fail fast, you don't learn fast. At first instance, you cannot build a perfect product. And moat also comes with repetitive iteration. A entrepreneur or a business who is ready to go through a repetitive iteration will be able to a product with differentiable USP.
Great. Thank you for that. Maybe can you tell us a little bit more, Manish, on why it is so important to be go-to-market ready and what it means to be go-to-market ready? And in addition to that, I'm sure it takes a team to achieve something of that sort. So, what is the importance of building a team, and what are some qualities that you look for in your co-founders or your collaborators, and how important is it to just have roles and responsibilities? And as you mentioned, hey, I started something with friends, and there's this famous saying that you shouldn't do business with friends at the end of the day, but somehow it works. So, what are some things that you think are really important in terms of building a team? And what is, again, being go to market ready, and why is it important?
Sure. See, you have to, when you say go to market and the readiness, you have to evaluate yourself, because when you initially start, you will start with a co-development, co-pilot or prototype or a beta version of it. And you would start with some anchoring customer. When I say anchoring customers, maybe you would do trial on some customers whom you know, or they would be okay to try your beta version with some gaps and all those things, and they will give you constructive feedback. So that's where you start initially. So when you are ready for a GTM, you have to understand what KPIs, what are the important KPIs of your product, not from your point of view, business point of view, from customer point of view. What is the important key? When a customer is using your product, what are the basics of adoption? For him, is it that 24/7 uptime is the most important thing? For him, is that the product has to be very accurate? For him, is it that it has to be very economical? So there are various things that a customer thinks. So you don't track KPIs from a business point of view, but you track GTM from adoption point of view. That is my product ready for the adoption or is tested for adoption? Because when you go to market, you are telling that my product is ready. It's a mature product. That's what you are committing to your customer. And it's the initial brand and credential that customer recall. So if you fail at that time, it will be very difficult for again to gain the confidence of those customers. So keep in mind, what are the adoption parameter of a customers, and is your product ready on and tested on those adoption parameters? And you have to test repeatability, consistent and accuracy of your product on those adoption parameters for a good amount of time. You cannot test it for a month, 2 months or 3 months and say my product is ready for GTM. Your sample size of customer on which you test your beta version, your sample size of time for which you test has to be good enough, and it has to pass the adoption criteria. When it passes the adoption criteria consistently and you have good results, I think you are ready for GTM and you should go ahead with external funding, internal funding. That's the best time, I would say, also to go for funding and target the market with complete bang. So that's one way to approach GTM. But again, as I said in the last topic, be very careful in customer selection. You cannot you cannot target entire set of customers and you cannot meet the need of all customers. Be brave enough to say no to customer and select your customer very carefully. Otherwise, a bad customer will just ruin your business in your initial days only. Now, with respect to the other question, Saranya was building a team. I think when it's a small business of 4 to 5 or maybe initial 1.5 year, it's independently we can handle what we are delivering or what we are committing. So as a founder, I commit, or as a business, as an entrepreneur, I commit that my product would have this quality. But as you grow and scale up, it's the team who is delivering it. It's not that we are delivering, the founder himself is delivering everything. It's the team who is building and it's the team who is delivering and doing the execution. And as I start at the start of my uh, talk, that execution is the real key in building a business. So if you want to have good execution, it is the team which will do the execution. So building a good team is extremely vital for executing on time and executing with accuracy or executing with consistency and delivering what the brand promises. So the fundamental is, as you see the things are scaling up, build an extremely good team because they will be actually executing it. It's their behavior which will build brand for you and your business. What we look for when we are hiring, we look, some of the qualities that we look are is that is the fearlessness is one of the things that we say. Means we focus very heavily when we hire people. Is the person is the person whom we are interviewing, is he fearless? Is she fearless or not? Because a fearless mind can only create great things. So fearlessness is one of the key principles that we follow when we are hiring a person. We want fearless minds. And second is perseverance. Is the person having, does they persist, and does they again give it a try after they fail, and how long they can be persistent? Technical skill can be taught, technical skill can be read from different sources. We can develop them, but these are the ground rules where we look, what we look in our employees, that they should not be afraid of failure. We encourage them to fail, and we also want them to be persistent with their approach. We don't want them to quit after they have failed in one of the deployment. So these things we look for while building a team and while doing a new hire. And of course, when it comes to selecting co-founders, you always have to look that you don't select your co-founders with the same set of skill. You need to have complementary skills. All your co-founders need to have complementary skills. Otherwise, it would can be a cat fight going ahead. It could be a cat fight that if both of you look or any common topic on which all the co-founders work, then it could be a cat fight. So you have to have complementary skills, and you also have to look how long is he committed. Means is there any, because it's a long-term commitment that you are asking from them.
That makes sense. I think we can now take any questions that we have in the chat box. If we have any questions. Do you have anything you would like to add for us today, Manish?
Okay, before we sign off, I think a couple of things we can uh, ask. A couple of things that would be useful for the young audience would be, as I told earlier also, that don't wait for the perfect time to build things. Start with a niche problem, start with a small set of customers, and be persistent and work tirelessly on that. So you cannot think of capturing the market instantly or building a very large scale disruptive product instantly. Look for a real world problem, look for a niche market, look for a customer, and start building on it tirelessly. Once you start building on it tirelessly, step by step, you will get you will be guided on how to build a business which is sustainable in nature. And always keep in mind the failure would be a part. So don't get disheartened by failure. Multiple failures is what will lead you to success.
Great. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for joining us today. I think that was a very insightful session. And if the students want to connect with you, I believe they can reach out to you on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And it was a pleasure speaking with you. To everybody that have joined us here today, thank you for your time. Stay tuned to our social media handles to know about the upcoming workshops. And we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you, Manish. Have a great day.
Thank you, Saranya. You too.
Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.